Stuart Clark. I work at the Ipsos Social Research Institute. We carried out the quantitative research for the Climate of the Nation report. It was a survey of 1,131 Australian adults. It was carried out in an online setting, recruited from an online panel. And the population was spread right throughout Australia, and we weighted that the people who we collected back to the Australian Bureau of Statistics 2006 census data. So around 2/3 of Australians think that climate change is occurring, but when you look at the number of Australians who actually are concerned about climate change, that drops off down to about 54%. Now, when we look more specifically at specific impacts of climate change, though, things like impacts on biodiversity, on the degradation of the Great Barrier Reef, concern is higher for those. So on specific issues, people are concerned about climate change. So when we look at people's energy preferences, so how do they think Australia should be powering its future? The top three generation options that we find are solar, wind and hydropower. And they're quite markedly above other generation options. Coal ranks very low, and surprisingly nuclear power ranks slightly above coal in terms of people's preferences for their energy. One really interesting finding that I think we found out of this research was that 2/3 of Australians think that there are too many different opinions being put forward to the public about climate change, which makes it really difficult for the public to make up their minds about what really is happening out there. In terms of, is climate change actually happening, or should people be sceptical about the claims that are being made about climate change? And we really see that in the carbon price debate. 2/3 of people think that they're going to be much worse off under the carbon price. And there's this real poisoning that we see of the climate change issue when other political issues such as cost of living and the economy and those sorts of things are brought into the debate, and that really confuses the issue for a lot of people. So when we look at who people think, or who the population thinks is responsible for taking on the climate challenge, obviously the federal government and other state governments rank very highly in terms of people thinking that it's really their responsibility to take on the challenge. However, when we look at their performance, how people perceive their performance, they rank slightly more low. So people think they should be doing something, but they're not presently doing a lot. When you contrast that with business and the media, people don't think the media should be doing a lot, and their performance is equally low on that. Businesses, on the other hand, people do perceive that they should be putting in some effort on climate change, but they're not performing very well in people's eyes.